The Coast Guard has many heroes. Some are recognized and many are not. Even those that have been honored are humble, saying they were just doing their jobs. These are their stories. It was March. The Pacific waters in northern Washington were still very cold from the winter chill. Lieutenant Alda Seabrands was on a routine fisheries and pollution patrol with her co-pilot, a flight mechanic, and 2 passengers. The co-pilot was in the right seat, the seat normally occupied by the pilot during a hoist on a search and rescue case. But they weren't on a SAR case, or at least it didn't start out that way.
6503 Port Angeles Air. We received a call from 911. We have 2 persons in the water off Pillar Point.
Yeah, Roger, 6503, diverting at this time, Pillar Point.
At the time we got the call, the first thing that came through my mind is the fact I don't have a rescue swimmer on board. So we turned immediately towards Pillar Point, mainly because I wanted to get the passengers out of the aircraft. For one, for the space, for the weight, they'd definitely be in the way for if we in fact had to take people on board.
We landed in Victoria, dropped off some passengers, and elected not to pick up a rescue swimmer. We felt it would have added probably about 20 minutes before we got there.
Persons in the water, always the possibility that you might have to use the rescue swimmer, but there's also the possibility that people can get themselves into the basket.
Air 6503, be advised we are on scene, have 2 people inside over the vessel. Over.
We didn't know exactly how long they had been in the water, but we do know that any amount of time, is pretty significant. One of the men was over 70. Somebody being at that age, their time is going to be that much more limited in water.
They let go of the boat, and the younger gentleman jumped in the basket. No problem. I think he was ready to get out of the water.
My thoughts right away were, this is not the good situation, because the good one would have, in my mind, would have been he would have been able to help his dad get into the basket and then himself next.
And the basket went back down to the other gentleman, and he basically didn't have any strength. He made it to the basket and was holding on to the basket, and I think making an attempt to get in. But I think the hypothermia and his advanced age just kind of took over, and he just held on to the basket and looked up at me like, this is it, this is all I can give you. At that point, I told Miss Seabrands there's no way this is going to take place.
There's definitely a possibility here that I might have to go in the water myself. Any questions with that?
So the only alternative was for the pilot in the left seat to jump out of the plane. It was second nature. She just got out of her seat, no problem, and she was there, ready to go, no hesitation. It was just a gutsy move.
Took my helmet off and sat in the cabin door and made the plunge.
Once in the icy water, Seabrands attempted to survey the situation, but she was fighting the rotor wash blasting in her face and eyes, making it nearly impossible to see, even breathe.
My whole thought then was simply to get into the basket. I'm a good swimmer, but I'm not a rescue swimmer.
By the time she reached the basket, the man had drifted away in the strong current. It took several minutes to maneuver to him and then maneuver him into position. Between the swells and the rotor wash, the weight of her soaking wet flight suit, and the man who was well over 200 pounds, the physical demands were starting to take their toll.
When she was looking back up at me, I can still see as clear as a bell that she was, I think, almost beyond the point of exhaustion. We almost hoisted her up and canceled it and tried again with a different method because she looked like she was hurting.
Was able to get a hold of him, and he was definitely unconscious. I gave the signal then for them to raise the basket. It was fine initially, because when you're in the water, he didn't seem so heavy, but when we got really his full body out of the water and he started to slip away from me. On the second hoist, Kevin wasn't bringing the basket up when I was calling for it.
She was just giving me a thumbs up the whole time.
Which means I'm ready to be hoisted, but she had the cable wrapped around her neck. And she didn't know that because she was busy doing other things. So the flight mech kind of flipped the cable and got it off her neck before he hoisted her up.
Taxied over to sandbar, we let it down, unhooked the basket, drug the man off of her, and we immediately just started CPR. After every chest compression, she'd give him some breaths, and it would it just seemed like there was, there was something there, and that was the emotional times, is, all right, we got him, we got him. And I think it was midnight or something that the gentleman didn't make it.
Was it enough? Was there anything that we did, could have done quicker or could have done better?
I feel she gave him everything she had, and the possibility that we had. Every resource that we had, we gave to him.
But she did the job, which I give her a lot of credit. I don't think too many other people can do it. I was pretty amazed.
On September 17, 1994, then Lieutenant Alda Seabrands was awarded the United States Coast Guard Medal. She was cited for heroism for having demonstrated remarkable initiative, exceptional fortitude, and daring in spite of imminent personal danger in this rescue. Her courage and devotion to duty are in keeping with the highest traditions of the United States Coast Guard. The Coast Guard Channel salutes Commander Alda Seabrands.